Brilliance Audio presents Elven Queen by Bernhard Hennen, translated by Edwin Miles, performed by Michael Page. Alfadas clambered over a boulder on the path. He looked below to the forested hills they had left behind. So that was Silwena's homeland. He had never visited the Slanger Mountains before. They were considered a wild and inhospitable place, and nowhere else were there as many souled trees. Many were the tales told about the forest. It was said the magic in it was so strong that spontaneous supernatural phenomena were not unusual. Just as one never knew where lightning would strike in a thunderstorm, in that enchanted forest one could never be certain of not falling victim to ungoverned magic. Silwena had told him many stories of strangers strangled in the night by wild, thorny tendrils, and he'd heard of wanderers infected by a mania that made them walk in circles forever after. Now and then the forest drained the very life from those who entered it, turning them old in a single night. The land was as dangerous and unpredictable as those who lived in it. No one in their right mind went there voluntarily. Silwena had been keeping her distance from him for the past 2 days. It seemed she had understood correctly his parting words to Asla in the human world. He was in Albenmark because he was forced to be there, and he wanted to return to his home. The bond that had once connected him with the elf woman had been cut, and he was not the one who had cut it. She should not have any false hopes. Alfadas slipped and had to brace against the rock wall to stop himself from falling. The path was icy. The advance party had strewn sand and ash from the last campfire, a stopgap better than nothing, but not by much. Never in his life had he been so high in the mountains. Neither trees nor bushes grew. Again he thought how out of place humans were here. It was too beautiful. The Mara one forced her way into his mind against his will. He would do better to watch where he put his feet than brood over her. She was not supposed to have any place in his head now. Why was he not able to separate himself from her? He had a wife who loved him and 2 wonderful children. What could Silwena offer him compared to that? Disappointment, no more. His gaze swept the wild mountainous country they were leaving behind. There was something uncanny about the abyss. It beckoned him, and Alfadas had to make an effort not to stray too close. Was it the same for the other men? Climbing so high, so close to the heavens, made him feel like a bird. It was almost as if he could fly. The ascent was taking more out of him than he had reckoned. His breath came in pants, although he kept the tempo slow. Something was robbing him of air. The other men around him were the same, puffing and wheezing along as if an army of old men was struggling up the mountain. He looked ahead, another 50 steps to a switchback. Several men were moving very close to the edge of the abyss. The new world and the magic that protected them from the cold had made them high-spirited. Others marched half-naked and had painted their bodies with grotesque faces to look like berserkers. He would have to talk to the men before they broke camp next day. High spirits could cause trouble. A cry startled him, and a man rushed past barely 2 arms' lengths away, his eyes wide and shining. His arms outstretched like the pinions of a gull, he plunged into the depths. Now Alfadas stepped close to the path edge. A long way below he saw the unfortunate man strike the rock wall. There was a spray of blood, and the man kept falling until he disappeared into the haze farther down. While Alfadas was still staring into the depths, a second cry rang out, shriller, wilder. Its wings tucked close to its body, a snow-white falcon plummeted from the sky. It, too, vanished into the mist at the foot of the cliff. Shaken, the Duke stepped back from the edge. "Onward!" The entire column had stopped in its tracks. With a few harsh words, he drove the men on and marched with them, not wanting to think about the dead man. Alfadas had forgotten his name, but he could still remember how he had come to him in Honningsvald. At first, the man had been quite reserved, but after a while he had spoken with more and more fervour. He was the blacksmith who had conceived the poleaxe. What bothered Alfadas most was the expression on the man's face. The smith had not fallen, he had jumped, and he had looked happy. The Duke peered forward. Another hour, perhaps a little more, and they would have the cliff behind them. Whatever delirium had seized the smith, he hoped it would not infect any more of his men.